Yo, let me show you guys something interesting that I saw. One of my friends linked this to me the other day and said that people were being absolutely delusional in this Reddit thread. He said that the people commenting in this thread were pretty much living in a fantasy land and making everything up. Anyway, here's the post, and this is from the Marvel Rivals subreddit. It says, just because they're not meta doesn't mean they're bad, which, I mean, that's kind of true. So I'm hovering top plat, low diamond, and main Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is so counterable. You have no idea how many of these games I've been told I'm throwing simply for choosing Squirrel Girl on champion select. I get that she's not top tier, she has weaknesses, sure, but it doesn't mean she's a bad character in any way, and definitely not an instant loss pick. Okay, I can tend to agree with this. This goes for other characters as well. I've seen a lot of people say the same thing about Loki, Rocket Raccoon, etc. So just remember, these characters are all good in their own right, and right hands can absolutely win games. Sure, just because they're not meta doesn't mean you lose instantly. TLDR, let them cook. Okay, now right away, I don't disagree with anything in this post. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me, you know, let people play what they are good at and maybe you will have a chance. But the post doesn't mention anything about swapping if you're hard countered. So, you know, I can't really agree with it fully, but I guess let's get into the comments. I'm only going to go over the top ones because I don't feel like reading all however many comments there are here. I went through this on Overwatch. There's a bunch of kids who pay too much attention to what some pro gamers are doing and somehow think the trends at the top levels automatically apply to them because they have dreams of being pro gamers one day. It's really dumb. It's like saying the decisions made by Major League Baseball players automatically apply to your beer league game. Okay. I mean, that's true. The pro comps, they're not always going to transfer over to lower ranks easily. Sometimes they're super complicated. Like, just ignore that shiz, guys, and work with the squad you got. If you lose, go to the next one. If you can't handle losing without attacking strangers, you need a different hobby altogether. Now, I think this comment, you know, I agree with the first half where they're saying, you know, you don't have to copy pro comps, fine. But this second half here where they talk about if you lose, go win the next one. If you can't handle losing without attacking strangers, I don't agree with this at all. I can see why my friend said that people are delusional here now, because handling losing without attacking strangers, like, sure, don't attack anyone on your team, but you have to admit it's going to be really frustrating if you're playing support and your Squirrel Girl won't switch off when they have Storm and Iron Man. She's not doing any damage to them and she's no threat to them. So you're kind of just losing because they're being stubborn at that point, not really because they're a Squirrel Girl main. You know, even if no one attacks you, you should kind of get the picture and be like, okay, well, they're super countering me. I at least force them to switch heroes. And I think it's the I'm never going to switch mentality that really rubs people the wrong way, especially when everyone's trying to win together in competitive. Quick play is totally different. And the next guy replies, honestly, these characters can still work at the top level. If you really know your character, then any of them are viable. Some are easier to get value out of, but it doesn't mean you can't get the same value. Mostly true. Again, don't be stubborn. Captain America, Venom, and Penny aren't meta either. All three have one tricks in the top 500. There is no way that this person is saying that all three of these tanks aren't meta. Penny is definitely usable. I guess I'm confused about what people think meta means. You know, there are meta comps that include Penny, so I'm not really sure what they're saying here. And I don't agree that you should look at one tricks in the top 500. Because stacking exists. You know, teams can stack and just not have to worry about filling for their team or anything like that. So I think this is a really disingenuous statement here. It's hard to one-trick the tanks that get banned every game, though, by comparison. That is true. Hulk is banned in a lot of games. Oh, this is interesting. They said there is a Squirrel Girl main in the top 20 right now. You know, Tipsy, let's see if you are telling the truth. Let's go to Marvel Rivals. Okay, let's go to the leaderboard. Since this was yesterday, it should be top 20, they said. Let's just start looking let's just start at the top. Oh, There they are. So they say they're a Squirrel Girl main, but they have half of their time spent. Actually, let's look at competitive. So yeah, they say they're a Squirrel Girl main. Sure. 9.5 hours on Squirrel Girl, 52 matches. I would say they definitely main Squirrel Girl, but they also have 4 hours on Mr. Fantastic, and that's about half as many games. So in reality, they're not one-tricking. They do prefer Squirrel Girl, but clearly they do switch. So they have some games as Nomura as well, and Storm. So I think it's something to consider that even the best players are swapping off. I actually made a video about something similar to this Reddit thread, talking about how 99% of the top players in this game are actually filling to some degree and they're not one-tricking. You can check that out if you're interested in the details. Of course, they'll play what they prefer. So Squirrel Girl here, she will play Squirrel Girl as much as she can. But if it's not working, they're not just going to lose the game for it. They're not going to be that stubborn. They might be trying to make something work. Is very different than being stubborn and countering your entire team. Anyway, back to the post. And this guy says, people need to be aware that in a hero shooter, emulating what the pros are doing is not always going to translate to a non-pro setting. There are times where a meta exists just to break another meta, and there are better options that are just fine on both sides that aren't playing at that level. Okay, there are better or other valid options. Okay. There are plenty of metas that don't work unless you're playing strictly as a team with strong communication, set strategy. So if you're picking up randos to play, you need to just sit down and learn to adapt. And I pretty much agree with this whole thing, especially this sit down and learn to adapt thing. Yeah, there's too many people who are obsessed with one-tricking something in any scenario. When this is a hero shooter, you can just be countered. An Iron Man will destroy a Black Panther in 95% of scenarios. You know, there's a chance the Black Panther could land a really good spear and then just destroy the Iron Man somehow, but it's just not going to happen. Being concerned about this solo competitive at time is just being toxic. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest. This is a big thing. Until you get to top 500, you don't need to be treating whatever streamer meta is floating around as gospel. I play an Eternity, still do my Squirrel Girl, a humble brag. Eternity player. Still do my job as Rocket, Penny, or Captain America. Okay, cool. I played around 10 matches today and people were wanting to run 3 healers because they think it's better. Lost 8 out of 9 of 10 of them. That's a lot. Most of the time they say we'll switch it up and they never switch it up. That's really unfortunate. Hate to see that. Like, nobody understands that the 3 healer thing only works if you're rotating ults. It's not just about it's playing 3 healers and that's it. It's not just about rotating ults, but that is a big part of it. That's definitely true. There's 3 healers requires like 2 DPS and 1 tank, and there's a whole comp behind it. But it is pretty flexible. Also, it's not pick 3 random healers. There's specific combos of healers and frontline DPS that goes, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Finally, we got a guy that knows what he's talking about in this thread. But yeah, if you're wondering like why you're not climbing and if you see yourself one-tricking every game without really thinking about whether your character is good in the moment, then I would say that's a great place to look at your own gameplay. I don't know if that makes too much sense for everyone. Sometimes, you know, if you're playing Luna, for example, you can get away with playing her pretty much every game. But if you're playing something like Black Panther or Squirrel Girl, there's a good chance that there are times that you should be switching. Think like Namor, Iron Man, that kind of thing. It could definitely help you out. Well, that's all I wanted to go over. Let me know if you guys think this Reddit thread is absolutely crazy, or if that you shouldn't be switching heroes that often, or it doesn't really matter. Maybe I'm crazy here. If you liked the video, please give it a like and a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I stream at 10 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv if you want to catch me live. I will see you guys next time.